Welcome back to Prospera Ventures, episode 2 in our mini-series. My name's Bianca.
And I'm Spencer.
Let's jump in.
Today we're going to be talking about exit pitfalls and why most business owners leave quite a bit of money on the table when it comes time to exit their business.
But I think the biggest pitfall of all is going to be waiting too long to actually plan an exit strategy.
100%. When it comes to exiting a business, any acquirer is going to be looking at 3 years of your business performance, minimum.
And what happens if you don't have those 3 years? You've got 3 years to make up, and that's a lot of time going back and trying to fix what you've done.
You absolutely don't. When you're ready to get out, you usually don't want to have to wait another 3 years and really be performing at not only at your peak, to be making sure that you're still bringing everything that you can to the table for your business and your employees, but at the same time, instead of focusing on working in your business, working on your business to build all of the structures and everything that you need in order for it to be attractive to a potential acquirer.
Would you say that if you waited too long to put any potential things in place, like the 3 years financial, that you could be losing some of that money?
100%. You could be losing the opportunity to sell your business at all. Unfortunately, I know that there's a statistic about that. I think it's 1 in 10 only. So
let's talk about some other common mistakes that sellers will make when they're trying to sell. What about burning out?
I think one of the biggest challenges we've seen for sellers is that they wait until they're starting to burn out to begin the process of creating that exit strategy. And at that point, you're scrambling. And like I mentioned earlier, it's challenging to bring your A game to the table, to continue running your business and to build everything that you need, in terms of systems and processes and team, all at the same time while you're, quite frankly, burnt out and just want to get the fuck out.
I think another thing is when you're burnt out, you're not really looking for growth opportunities within your business, right? If you're too busy juggling and managing different things, you might be losing out on different sales calls, partnerships, potential other investments that you can be taking your business to the next level, right? If you're making 1 million, 5 million, you might be stagnant and stuck at that spot and unsure how to move yourself forward because of everything else that you're trying to juggle. So when you're burnt out and when you're just juggling too much, how are you able to even grow? What's going to make that business more attractive for somebody else if there is not some kind of growth percentage year over year?
Absolutely true. I think that's another huge challenge that we see sellers run into. If you don't have that continual growth rate, even if it's relatively modest, but you at least got to be keeping up with inflation, right? If you don't have that, at least some sort of growth rate in both your revenue and EBITDA, unless you're investing a lot of money back into the business, but ideally your EBITDA as well, then you're not going to be able to command a premium for it because it looks like your company is on the decline versus in growth mode. And everybody always prefers a company in growth mode because that indicates opportunity.
What's another common mistake you'd say?
I would say probably at least the biggest one that we've been seeing recently,
Run into it a lot,
is customer concentration, especially if you're looking at businesses that are, I guess, legacy businesses. Founder run, family owned, been around for 40 plus years in a lot of instances, especially if it's still founder run. They have stagnated, but they've also learned over the years how to make their lives easier by leaning into the easy customers that are also profitable. And it works great for them and it looks decent on paper when you're talking about just from a financials point of view. But when the top 3, 4, 5 customers make up sometimes 65, 75% of the revenue, the impact that losing any one of those single customers has to your business is detrimental. And it makes it very challenging for a potential acquirer to get funding. because everybody who's funding a business knows that, and we've seen it firsthand, even in the process while we've been evaluating some of these businesses to potentially acquire. If you lose one of those big customers, you really have to scramble, and it's kind of an existential crisis. So making sure that you spread that revenue out across as many customers as you can, so that the loss of one or two isn't going to put your business at risk, is super important.
I think it's also about not just the risk from the current owner's perspective, but if you're looking for someone to find it attractive as a buyer, right? They now have to take that risk that and just believe and trust in the process that that customer is going to stick with you. They're going to keep the relationship with the new owner of the company. And I think that's where a lot of people become hesitant because great, you have a relationship, you've been working with them for 20 years. What if I come in and they immediately want to shut down? There goes X percent of revenue, right? 40, 50, 60% of that revenue. And it's at a loss for everybody because then the business now becomes very, very stagnant in the lost revenue. Let's go on to another one. Actually, one of my favorites because I understand a lot of systems and process building, which is reliance on the owner. What a common mistake we see a lot.
The most common reason and the most, I guess, most common area
Mm,
of reliance that we see is in sales and
mm,
maintaining customer relationships,
yeah.
because they're the ones who
Nurtured that
yeah.
relationship. Yeah.
I mean, at one point in time, if you were a founder, you were the chief chief cook and bottle washer, or whatever that saying is, right? You wore a lot of hats, and the most important in order to actually have a business
Mm,
is business development and sales and maintaining those customer relationships. And so it's natural for them to
yes.
hold on to those relationships and make sure that they're not losing that important customer, especially when it's just five important customers that make up 90% of your revenue. That is a huge red flag, and it's fascinating to me that even relatively decent sized companies,
Yeah.
40, 50, 60 people, can still be heavily reliant on the seller on a day-to-day basis.
And I think part of that almost makes for a longer transition period too, right? If I'm the owner and I own all of these processes, but I want somebody else to buy it, I now need to train them on all these things that I'm doing versus leaving on day one or leaving on day five because I wasn't able to just give the duties or the written SOPs, so to speak, to the new owner. I have to now go through and find 10 more things that I did that I didn't realize I do as an owner because sometimes you don't actually keep track of what those SOPs and tasks that you have. I know sometimes I have tasks that I don't even have SOPs for. And it's just about going through that iteration of just writing it down or making somebody else responsible to build it and or write it down for you. It does make things very difficult when it comes to the transition phase and the attractiveness, right? Some people don't want to work with the owner for 12 months trying to figure out all the things that are in their head. It's a lot of work.
And when the owner's been running and building the business for decades, a lot of times they don't even realize how much
Mm.
stuff is just in their head. It's important for sure to document, and then update those documents because things evolve, shall we
It's
say.
good to improve over time. I guess the biggest takeaway we're trying to help you understand, business owner, or potential business buyer, is take some time to really understand where you're at, where your business is at, and get some clarity on your business and what your potential exit strategy might be.
And I think a very easy way to think about it is build your business so that it will continue to thrive even if you are sipping a Mai Tai on the beach, and make it fundable. You
Mm,
want to make sure that a potential acquirer, if because let's face it, 99% of acquisitions aren't just done with cash. Somebody's not just going to come and write you a check out of their checking account. I would leverage debt in a positive way. That's a very positive use of debt in our modern financial system. And so when an acquirer is coming to get funds in order to purchase your business, you want to make sure that they're going to be able to do that pretty easily. if you go through our handy dandy exit planning checklist, it can help you make sure that not only do you have a business that can run on its own, but you have a fundable business that an acquirer can get money to pay you for.
Yes, please check out our exit checklist, especially if you are new to trying to figure out an exit strategy. You should be able to go through some of the tasks yourself. Some you might need some support. We know, obviously, we talked about financials at the beginning. Financials are a big part of what really makes a business and what you're measuring. So go through the list, find some things to maybe find some support on. Reach out to us if you need some more guidance, because we understand what you're doing as an owner. We understand why things get put on the back burner. Last episode, we talked a lot about our experience, and really, we just want you guys to be successful and grow.
In addition to utilizing our exit planning checklist, I think it's good to start asking yourself questions just on a day-to-day basis that help you start thinking like a buyer, thinking from the buyer's point of view.
Whether you want to sell or not.
100%. What are some of those questions?
Questions include, is my business running without me? Are my financials buyer ready? And do you have 3 years that you can account for? Do I know what my company is actually worth? So have you done a valuation? Do you know how to value? Are there more resources you can tap into? And will a lender give someone money to buy my company for what I want it for? So what do you want your business purchased for?
I think that's a really good question. If you're planning to sell your business, start with the end in mind. How much do you want to walk away from that closing table with? And then reverse engineer it. There are resources out there that can help you calculate what the current average multiples are in a given industry based on your relative EBITDA levels and other aspects of your business. Just do the math backwards. If I can, for example, expect to get roughly a 4 times multiple on my EBITDA for my, I don't know, supply chain business, for my logistics business, or for my manufacturing business, and I want to walk away, with 30 million
after taxes or capital gains. Or, oh wait, did we just bring up a bunch of stuff that you might need to talk to advisors to?
Or things that you don't really think about, because there are a ton of different consequences, financial consequences to a successful exit that a lot of times we don't think about ahead of time. Like the structure of your business has an impact on how much tax exposure you'll have post sale. It also has an impact on whether it's going to leave the buyer in the best position to, and this is where you need to talk to your advisors.
Legal, financial disclaimer.
Disclaimer, we are not lawyers or CPAs. We use those because they're smarter than we are in the law and in all the nuances of tax. But my point is, depending on the structure of your business and like the legal structure of it will make a big difference for the buyer in terms of what they'll be able to depreciate post acquisition, which makes it more or less valuable to them, meaning they'll pay more or less of a multiple for your business. So really unpacking all of that in advance so that you can reverse engineer that equation to figure out how to get to that number you want to go home with is important. And it takes time, and it takes the input of experts.
All in all, we really hope you consider our common mistakes that sellers and owners make when looking to evaluate their business, and consider the fact that we have an exit checklist that you can download. Please see below.
Remember, start with the end in mind. Design your business so that it runs without you. So whether you like sipping Mai Tais on the beach or going skiing in the Alps, your business is thriving when you're not there. And make it fundable. Build it so a banker will give somebody money to buy it from you.
We really hope you enjoyed episode 2 of our mini series.
Please like and subscribe to keep learning.